The next big thing I want to talk about is something we sort of discussed in playtest, and we've only touched upon it. And this is a huge task that the apes are looking at for HQ18. They are going to be looking at some of the costs of support bots. And this is what they're talking about when they say they want to encourage combos for HQ18. Now, one shots will be slightly out of range, I think, with a couple of ranks, maybe not. We talked about with Fabian whether these new ranks will increase ability damage, and he said not ability damage as such, it'll increase DPS and health, but it will give them maybe passives or stuff. So that's yet to be seen. And whether one shot should be able to one shot, that's a discussion for HQ18. But they are trying to make us combo more by making more of the combo bots more viable. So let me know in the chat, what combo bots do you think are... Don't worry about fixing any bots. We're not fixing them. We're not going to change the abilities. We're not going to get more damage or more range. Forget all that. Which bots would you change their cost of? That's what they're looking at. Because it's a very quick fix. It's a very simple fix. And it will probably improve a lot of support bots. Now, when I say support bots, what I mean is bots that don't do like direct damage. They're not like Jetfire and Six Gun or Sea Spray. They're not really support bots. Support bots are sort of abilities that need a trigger. So, you know, bots like Air Raid, or bots that give protection, like Tracks. Even bots that make other ability do more damage, like Sideswipe. So they are support bots, because on their own, they're not much use. But comboing it with something else, then it gives a massive advantage. So let me know in the chat what bots you would like to see improve cost wise, but not just actual what it would do, which bots, but what would you give them, what cost would you give them and why. So would you reduce them down to 3 plus 2, 5 plus 1, 6 plus 2? Would you even increase some? Are some just too cheap for HQ18? That's another question. You know, do some bots need increasing in cost? Because we can't have it all our own way. We can't just sit here and go, yeah, all these bots should be reduced. We've also got to think, you know, of bots that maybe need an increase, maybe as well, support bots. But yeah, let me know in the chat. So I made a few sort of notes. So first off, Brainstorm. Brainstorm is the first for me. I have to think that Brainstorm has got a huge cost, 6 plus 3. So I always think that I always want to use the bots at least twice in a battle for them to have a good use. I plan on using every single one once, probably. No point in having a bot in the shuttle if you're not going to use it. So I plan on using everyone once, maybe twice. So a cost of 6 is quite high. A cost of 9 is extremely high. And then you've got to think that because this bot, yes, you can put it for war team, but if you're going to use this bot on long distance defenses, you've got to use another bot to then take that defense out. You've got to be able to one-shot it. So most bots, you need around 4 ability points just to be able to take it out. So if you're dropping this with 6 and using Jetfire 4, that's 10 ability points for an area. That's costly. 10 ability points is costly for an area. Then second use, let's just say you use Jetfire, you don't use him in the first one. Even then, if you're just using Brainstorm on his second ability, that's 9 plus 4, that's 13 ability points. That is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And 5k damage is not touching anything. It's only doing half the damage. So you're taking half the health off an area for 10 ability points or 13 ability points. That is absolutely crazy. Brainstorm on the con side is Skyhawk. Apologies. I'll start mentioning the cons from now on. So yeah. So Brainstorm for me, I would literally reduce Brainstorm down to 4 plus 2. I really would drop him that low. 4 plus 2. I think he's one of the most overpriced bots in the game. And when I think about which bots I want to reduce the cost on, what I'm thinking is bots where I look at it and go, I like this bot, but it's too costly. And that's the reason. Not because I don't like the ability, not because it doesn't do this. It's just that for the cost, nah, not a chance. And so Brainstorm for me definitely needs reducing cost to 4+2. And the next one for me is, find him. Definitely got him because I've got him as a 5-star on my actual account as well. Is Sandstorm. Whoops. So Sandstorm is Octane. So I think the 4+2 is okay. The problem is you get to combo the 2 to get real use out of it, and that's 8 ability points. So again, we're talking about the 2 uses. So that is 8 ability points, which is not bad. But then 4+2 is 12 ability points then. And then after that is 16. That's a massive increase. So personally, I would either like to see this put down to 4+1, or I would like to see the Sand Rush dropped to 2. So dropped a lot lower. So it's 4 and then 6. Yeah, and then it's 6 and then 4. So it's a lot cheaper for repeat use. The healing is really good. Keep that high because the healing is really good. We don't want to make that too cheap and you can just spam it. But let's be honest, a Sand Rush on its own, I've never used a Sand Rush on its own to damage in an area. You know, it's not ridiculously overpowered or anything like that. It's the healing part of it that we sort of use this bot for. So I don't mind that being cheaper than the healing. So that's the bit I would probably reduce. Definitely. Next bot, without a doubt, Sunstreaker. 7+2. So 7, 9, 16 for 2 uses for 6.5k. That, you know, the flames take ages to sort of burn. I think it's about 8 seconds, maybe something like that. And yeah, it just doesn't burn fast enough. You know, we just talked about how damage over time is not desirable. Now Skids is 5+3, so Skids is 5+3. So I think Sunstreaker should be maybe even a bit less than that because it burns for even longer. So maybe 5+2 for Sunstreaker. It's a smaller area than Skids, probably similar range-ish. So yeah, I think it might even go down to 4 personally. I would like to see. I would definitely like to see Sunstreaker go a lot cheaper. And some will say Jazz maybe, but Jazz does instant damage in a big area, especially with his ability level and with his G1 core as well. And people still use Jazz in top wars, so he's still viable. He's still decent. You know, that's people can't say, oh, he's too expensive if they're using him in wars. So, you know, still a really good bot. But yeah, Grant's got a good point that Sunstreaker's SA is negated with all the healing. Exactly, even more reason why damage over time needs a reduction. And I know I said sort of more support bots, but he's not taking anything out on his own, this guy, 67 even with a max G1 core. So he's kind of a support bot in that sense that he'll do a bit of damage, but I just think damage over time needs something more than what it currently has. And if that's make it cheaper, then maybe so be it. Next one for me, this guy, Streetwise. Massively underrated. You got to think why. And you got to think it's maybe because the cost. 3+4 is a lot. 50% faster, 50% slower is great for 22 seconds. So why does this guy not use as much? And I can only put it down to his cost maybe. So I would like to see this sort of reduced to 3+2. The next one for me is Dustup. Now Dustup is absolutely awful. Awful. And I was thinking of do this at a flat 2. So light smoke screen is 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Do we make Dustup just 2 points? 2 ability points, a bit like B, but no increase. Just 2 ability points. And it says there that it does 6,700 damage. It does 6,500 damage to one target, but then does like 5,000 damage, and then like 3,000 damage, and like 1,000 damage towards the outskirts. So it doesn't do 6,700 in one area. I doubt they're going to buff it. So this is an opportunity to make a really rubbish bot really decent by bringing the cost right down to 2+0. I would like to see what that would do for Dustup and how that would bring her back into the game. It'd be interesting for sure. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. 2 plus 0. Is it too far? Let's be honest, 3 plus 1 right now, and you go, 3 plus 1, that's really cheap. Do you make it 3 plus 0? Same as smoke screen, maybe. Just take away the plus 1. But would that make you user? For 3 ability points? I don't think so. I still don't think so. Especially with the, you know, it's... I'm pretty sure it's fire. I could be wrong. I'm not too sure it is. Maybe it's direct damage, I'm not too sure. But it is fire that's even worse, because obviously fire damage is obviously new to the bit with the tech cheat points and with the fire dome core coming out. So what cost would you give to Dustup? Next one is Lightspeed. So I did actually say for this one a 3 plus 0. I really do. You know, 65 just 3,300 damage and 70% speed reduction. It's just in one line. It's not even like crazy area. So you know, to take out a mortar, say, you need to use this like 3 times as it is. So for 3 ability points, you need to take out, it's like 9 ability points to take out a mortar. It's not cheap. But you know, but can we sort of have damage in an area and then Lightspeed, bang, bang, clearing them out? It's interesting, you know. But at 3 plus 2, that ain't gonna happen. For 3 ability points, that's really good. For 5, not so much. For 7, I'm not using it. You know, do we start bringing these costs down on some of these to a 3 plus 0, so there's no increase? There's just 3 to sort of clear, a bit like smoke screen. I like the idea of that, of a 0 increase. I'd like to see how it works in the meta. I think Swoop, the initial cost is 5, is great. It's the plus 5. 5 plus 5 at 10. 5 plus, and 10 plus 5, 15 is crazy, crazy damage. And a crazy, crazy cost. I know it does good damage, but let's be honest, you don't see Swoop much on attack because you can't use the ability, you know, 2 times. And, you know, it is, you know, really, really good damage. You're talking like 20k damage, 25k damage for a 5-star maxed out. So it is really, really good, but then, you know, air defenses do eat him up. So there's got to be some counter to that in terms of, you know, risk and reward. That's, you'll hear me talk about that over the next few weeks or so. It's my new sort of thing I'm looking at, is risk versus reward. You know, using Swoop is a high risk because he might take a lot of damage. He hasn't got a lot of health, so there should be a high reward for that. So personally, I would put it at 5 plus 3. I don't think that's unreasonable. So 5, 8, 11, and that is quite costly, you know, but not ridiculous. You know, really good DPS bot, really good. So, you know, let's sort of give him a not so expensive ability, you know, personally. And then last one on my list, Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper, glass gas rockets could be immense, but it's not being used, is it? So again, all I want to see from this is 4 plus 0. No increase, just 4. So 4, 4, 4, 4. All it does is put glass gas down. It's not ridiculous. So I don't think that's a crazy thing to ask. So I would honestly just give Cliffjumper a 4.0, a 4.0 increase. That's what I'd like to see.